everyone, welcome back to Spoilt Rotten Beads. I am Juliet and today I'm going to show you how to make these super cute watermelon slice earrings. The pattern was shared by the wonderful Jane over at Bead Crumbs. There is a link in this video to where you can download Jane's free pattern. So it's a lovely free pattern from Jane at Bead Crumbs. From Jane's Etsy store. So the pattern is actually available for free for you guys over on Jane's store. So I'm going to pop a link to that free pattern on this video. There are also some limited edition project packs over on our website as well. So do head over to the website if you would like to purchase everything that you need to make your own little watermelon slice earrings, and do have a little look around Jane's store as well when you follow that link, because she has got the most gorgeous brick stitch patterns, so many wonderful patterns to enjoy. And if you are new to brick stitch, then hopefully this video will help you to get started and inspire you to follow more of Jane's fantastic patterns. So head over to Jane's website, download that free pattern, and over on our website, Spoilt Rotten Beads, you will find everything that you need to make the watermelon slice earrings, including a little project pack as well, so you can get everything all in one packet ready to go. Okay, so these are the super cute watermelon slice brick stitch earrings that I'm going to be demoing for you today. As I said earlier, the pattern was supplied to us by the wonderful Jane over at Bead Crumbs, and I have popped a link through to Jane's Etsy store where you'll find this pattern for free. And so do head over to her store. She's got tons and tons of gorgeous brick stitch patterns, and this one is for free. So I will be putting a link in the video, and also I'll be putting a link through to a little project pack on our website, so you'll be able to buy everything you need to make yourself a cute little pair of watermelon slice earrings using Jane's pattern. So let me just pop this one up here. It's really, really pretty, isn't it? So sweet. I mean, you don't have to make earrings out of this. I guess you could make a little keychain or a zipper pull or a pendant. There's lots you can do with this design. But Jane's pattern is nice and easy to follow, as you can see. So head over to her website and download that pattern. But I'm going to show you sort of how to get started. So I've got all of my colours of Delica beads, and these are all listed on Jane's pattern. So you'll find all of the colour numbers that we have used here on Jane's pattern when you download it. And you're going to start off from the bottom here with a little bit of ladder stitch, and that's how we'll start off this brick stitch. So I'm just going to pick up two of my darkest green Delica beads and take them down towards my tail of thread, and then I'm going to stitch up through the first bead that I added and pull down. And what you'll find is you'll end up something looking a little bit like this, and you need to flip this second bead on its side so it sits nice and neatly next to that first bead there. So let me just get the camera to focus. There we go. Okay, so you're going to end up with two beads side by side like that. And I'm now going to stitch down through that second bead there. And now I'm going to create a little row of ladder stitch. So I'm going to pick up one more of my green beads, stitch down through that last bead, and then back up through the bead that I just added. And I'm going to do this until I reach kind of the end of this first row here, which is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's going to be 8 beads there. So I'm going to keep going in exactly the same way until I have added a total of 8 of my darker green colour there. I love the way you can create pictures and little objects using brick stitch. I think it's so much fun. It's kind of just the possibilities are endless, and Jane's got so many lovely patterns over on her Etsy store. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's a real find. So that's 6, 7, 7. And this next one that I'm going to pick up is going to be the last one in this row. And that is 8. Okay, so I've now got a row of 8 beads. Let me let you guys take a look at that. Okay, it looks a little bit wobbly at the moment, but don't worry, it's going to kind of straighten itself out as we add on our next row. So this next row is going to be an increasing row. So if you look here, we're starting off with 8, and then it's kind of, the pattern's going outwards. So this is a great way to learn brick stitch, because you're going to learn how to increase and then how to decrease, which is brilliant. So to increase from the end of a row, you just need to start off by picking up 2 beads this time. So I'm going to pick up this darker green and the lighter green. So one darker green and a lighter green. So I picked up 2 beads, and adding the 2 beads is what's going to make this increase here. So there's my 2 beads that I've just added on. And to attach them, to create the next row, I'm going to take my needle underneath the thread that crosses over the top of the last 2 beads in that first row. Pull it down and then stitch back up through just the second bead that I just added. Pull tight. I'll get my fingers out of the way and let you guys take a look there. There we go. Except the bead below has just flipped over on its side a bit. So I'm just going to kind of get it back into position. You will find that sometimes with your first row of brick stitch, you do have to kind of fidget the beads into place. There you go. Now you can see how all of those beads are sitting as they should be. I'm just going to take that up to the camera, let the camera focus in on it so you guys can take a good look there. So you can see that increase starting already on that second row, and you can see all of the beads sitting upright with their holes facing kind of upwards there. You can look down on the holes when I do that. There you go, just as they should be. So that's my start of my second row, and that's kind of probably the hardest bit of the whole thing. And now you just need to pick up 1 bead each time. Pick up a bead from the pattern, take your needle through, or sorry, under the thread that crosses over the top of the beads in the row below. Pull it down and stitch back up through the bead you just added. You can tell I've been gardening, can't you, looking at my fingers? I do apologise. Camera picks up everything, doesn't it? Give them a really good wash as well before I started. Right, pick up another green bead. Take your needle under the thread that crosses over the top of the beads in the row below, like so. Pull it tight, and then you want to stitch back up through that bead you just added. There you go. You can see that second row building nicely, and you can really see that increase there in that stitch has gone really well. So I'm going to continue to the end of the row and show you how to then increase again at the end of this row. So I've threaded on my bead, gone under the thread and back up through. So I'm going to keep going and come back to you when I'm ready to just show you the end row of the row here when we're increasing again at the other end of this row here. So I have nearly reached the end of this second row and I've got 2 more beads to go. And at the beginning, to increase, we picked up 2 beads at once, but when you get to the end, you won't want to do that. You just pick up 1 bead. So I've picked up my next bead, which is a pale green bead, and I'm just going to attach it in exactly the same way as all of the other beads in this row. Stitch up through the bead. And then we need to add the final bead onto this row, which is what's going to make it increase. And that's going to be a dark green bead. So I'm going to pick up a dark green bead. And this time, I'm just going to pass my needle underneath. So it's just going to go. Let me get my tail of thread out of the way so you guys can see. I'm just going to try and make this as clear as possible. So I picked up my dark green bead and I'm going to take my needle and just catch the thread that goes between the paler green bead that I just added and the bead in the row below. So I've just taken my thread underneath that and then pull it tight and go back up through that dark green bead that you just added, and that will create that nice neat little increase at the end of the row. I'm just pulling everything tight and then I shall get my fingers out of the way. There you go. So you can see we've now got an increase both sides. Okay, if I bring this up here, you can see exactly where we are in the pattern. So we're now going to do the third row, which is going to contain the white beads as well as the dark green. And I'm just going to flip my work over because I like to work from my right to my left. And so this time I also need to increase. So I'm going to pick up 1 dark green bead and 1 white bead. Hook my needle under the thread in the row below. Give these little beads a helping hand, get them into the right place, and then go back up through just the white bead there. Pull tight. And you can see that increase already there. Okay, so I'm going to do exactly the same as I did on the row below. So each time I'm just going to pick up 1 bead now and just keep going, and then I will just demo when I get to the other end. I will just demo that increase at the other end again so that you've got another reference point there. Okay, so I'm just going to keep on along this row, adding in all of the white beads I need, and when I get to those final 2 beads, I am going to demo that for you again so that you can see how you add those next beads on there. You can see it's nice and building quite quickly now. Okay, so I've reached the other end now. I've got 1 more white bead to add, so I've just picked up my white bead. I'm just going to add it in the same way as we did all of the other beads. And then I'm going to pick up my last bead to create that increase, which is going to be a dark green bead. Just show you guys where I'm at. So I need 1 more dark green bead on the end here to create that increase. So picked up that green bead, and then I'm going to hook my needle underneath the thread that crosses between the white bead and the green bead there. And then I can go back up through that green bead that I just added. And there's my increase. So you can see that pattern starting to build there now. So what I'm going to do is just keep adding my rows, come back to you when I'm ready to start decreasing, from when I've got my 4 green beads up the side here and I'm ready for this white bead on the end where we start to decrease, because I just want to demo that for you there. So I'm going to keep going, come back to you when I'm at that stage. Okay, so I have reached the end of this. 1, 2, 3, fourth row, and I'm now ready to start decreasing. As you can see in the pattern there, I'm going to decrease. So to decrease, it's super easy. All you do is you just pick up one bead instead of the two that you needed to increase. So my next bead is going to be a white bead. So just pick up my white bead and attach it in the same way as before, underneath the thread in the row below, and then back up through that same bead there. And you can see that's actually stepped inwards already, and it's now decreasing. So I just need to follow the pattern, the colour way in that lovely pattern from Jane at Bead Crumbs. Whoops, sorry, I hit my camera then. Do apologise if I've made you all dizzy. You see how it's now decreasing. So we're going to create that slice effect there. So there's nothing more to it than that, really. You just want to keep following the pattern. And of course, as you are decreasing, you don't need to do anything special. When you get to the other end, you just add the last bead and then keep going up to the next row. It's as easy as that, but I will demo that for you. So I'm just going to go along this row, come back to you when I reach the end, and just show you what happens when you get to the end there. So I've got to the end here. I'm ready for my last bead, which is going to be a white bead. As I said, there's nothing special about this last bead on a decrease. Just pick it up, attach it in the same way as you have to the other ones before, and stitch up through the bead in exactly the same way. And now you're ready for the next row. Simple, really easy. So this one's going to be a red bead. I'm just going to attach it in exactly the same way as all of the others there, up through the bead, and you see you've now got another decrease starting. So what I'm going to do is carry on beading now, come back to you when I'm ready to add this last bead here and the findings, and then show you just how to do that, and then how to weave all your threads away and create a nice neat finish there. Okay, so I'm nearly done now. I've just got my last bead to add on the tip there. So I'm just going to pick up my last bead and attach it in exactly the same way as the other beads. Stitch back up through it and pull it nice and tight into place. There's my little watermelon slice. Now, to attach my findings, I like to use the same thread I'm working with, and I like to use a split ring because they're nice and secure with brick stitch. So a split ring is like a teeny tiny little key ring. You see how it kind of looks a bit like a key ring there. Kind of the wire goes back around itself. So you can just pick up that split ring now, stitch down into the last bead you added and the bead in the row below. And I like to add a little double thickness of thread. So I'm going to stitch back up through the next bead in that row and then the final bead. I'm just going to get my needle through the beads and then stop what I'm doing so you can kind of have a look at my thread path there. There you go. And then I can go through that ring again, pull it all nice and tight, and then go back down through the beads. And that's my little ring attached at the top, and it's really nice and secure this way. So I'm just stitching down now through the beads, pulling tight. That's my ring now, nice and securely attached. Now to finish off my thread, what I do is there's no need for knots. You just stitch down through a few beads, so it doesn't matter which bead you're stitching down through. Just go down through the pattern, a few beads down, and then we make it nice and secure by switching direction. So I'm going down through, whoops, going down through the bead there. Oh, I've managed to, in my tangle, stitch my needle through that loop at the end there, so I'm just gonna go back through it. So okay, so I've gone down through there, and now I can switch directions, so go back up now. So if I now go back up through a few beads, and then down through a few, pull tight, you'll see that even though there's no knot there, if I pull away at that jump ring, there's no way it's coming off, so it's really nice and secure. And what I can do now is use my scissors just to trim off that end of thread there. And then we're left with the tail of thread from right at the beginning. And you may find that that very first bead there has kind of tipped on its side. Let me just focus the camera in on it. You see how that bead's tipped on its side. You can just position it back, put it back where it's supposed to be, like that, sitting the right way up. Then pop your needle onto that tail of thread that you left right at the beginning. And we're going to lock that bead in place by just stitching up through the beads in the row above it. So I'm going to go up through the green bead and through the white bead. And you see how that, just pulling that tight has locked that bead in place. I can stitch up through a couple more beads, then do exactly the same as I did before and switch direction. Look, I've got my thread caught over the top of, there we go. Switch direction, pull tight, and it will be nice and secure. And I can now trim off my other tail of thread. There is my, this has got stuff in the pickle, there we go, straighten that out. There's my second earring, and I can attach it now to my earring finding. Okay, so to attach my little earring finding, I'm just going to take my chain nose pliers and gently bend out my loop on my earring finding so that I can slip on the jump ring. These are quite tight to get on, so you just need to kind of little fidget around there, and then you can use your chain nose pliers to close back up that ring there. There we go. There we go. And there are your lovely little watermelon slice earrings from the pattern by Jane over at Bead Crumbs. Do follow the link in this video description. Head over to Jane's Etsy store. Take a look at all her wonderful patterns, and do also head over to our store, Spoiled Rotten Beads, and you will be able to pick up a little project pack that's got everything you need to make your own little watermelon slice earrings. Thanks for watching. Bye.